Welcome to another episode of the Mad Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Begley, Goni, and Wayne.
What is up, Mad Mob? It's the Friday episode. It's the episode where we get real honest. We self-reflect. At least that's what we've been doing over the past couple of weeks, and it's what we'll continue to do over the next several weeks. We're moving on to wide receivers.
The next series.
The next step. So far, honesty has been in our favor. Quarterbacks, if you listen to the Mad Mob, we did better than the ADP. Running backs, 1 through 24. If you listen to the Mad Mob, you did better than the ADP. Receivers, we'll see. Receivers are very sketchy. There's just so many of them. It's kind of hard to pinpoint. As we've already noted, there was a lot of injuries that really messed with these rankings. As always, we don't really add it up or see where we ranked as far as did we do better or did the ADP do better. We do that live on air.
Genuine
Transparency.
reactions. Yeah. So we'll see. Reigning quarterback king over here, and Wayne is the reigning running back king. Begley might find his way into the kingdom, into the throne.
But I've yet to be last, and that itself is an accomplishment.
That is true. 2 second place finishes.
There's something about consistency to be said here.
The consistent first loser. Boys, Bobby Wagner, cut.
Where does he go? He plays again, right?
Yeah, he's still got the talent, right?
I mean, he's getting older, but I feel like a team will pick him up. Could you see him going to, like, the 49ers?
Let me throw a team out there at you. Dallas. We're built to win a Super Bowl right now. We need a middle linebacker. Van Der Esch is probably gone. Why not?
You think he'd play the outside? Wagner would play the outside like that?
I think he played the middle. That's where Van Der Esch plays.
Oh, I thought that was like a Jalen Smith kind of thing.
He's been with the Giants for a few years, bro.
Oh, I guess I'm behind.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. The Cowboys exit in the first round or don't make the playoffs. I don't get a lot of time to watch them.
Wow.
Did you see that? You kind of called him on being wrong, and he immediately got venomous.
He got venomous.
I didn't get venomous. I said I was wrong.
Whatever, the Cowboys suck, and they're not successful, so piss on them.
I'm just providing a reason for why I didn't see it. They're a defensive player. Sorry, man. I follow the offense. Don't get to see the defense enough.
Do you still feel slighted, Begley?
Yeah, my feelings are hurt. I might be quiet for a little while.
As you should. Moment of
It's not in
silence
your
for
blood.
Begley's feelings.
It's not in your blood.
Let's jump right in, gentlemen. We've got a lot to cover. We're going over the wide receivers 1 through 12. We're starting off with easy money, Cooper Kupp. We had him as the wide receiver 1. ADP had him as the wide receiver 1. Goni and I both had him at 1. Beggs had him at 2.
Let's go.
He finished as the wide receiver 23. He missed 8 games and went out really early in the 9th, so technically missed 8.5 games. 8 3/4 games, really. That being said, the man averaged almost 25 points when he played. He led in targets when he played. 93 targets in 8 games. This man averaged double-digit targets in every game he played, on pace for almost 200 targets, which is absolutely insane. That being said, we're kind of starting at the beginning when I said, the injuries kind of messed with our rankings. This dude was definitely going to be a WR1. Just got hurt, missed almost half the year. Is what it is. We got McVay coming back, Stafford coming back. They did lose their offensive coordinator. Do y'all have him as a WR1 again next year, or are you fading him a little bit because he's getting a little bit older?
How do you fade Jetta?
What do you mean?
How do you move off Jetta as the one for next year?
I thought he I thought he was asking if he would be a WR1.
Oh, just in the top 12? I don't see how not.
Yeah.
He plays.
There's no way. He's going to be phenomenal. He's barring injury, this man's a lock for a top 5 again. 200 targets, 197 targets is what this man had. It's just phenomenal. He would have pushed Jetta this year for the number 1 receiver spot just because of the volume alone. I know Jetta had a whole lot of targets, and we'll get into that when we talk about him, but almost 200 targets that's a lot, man. He didn't have any single-digit games either. 16 was the lowest he gave you, and he was regularly in the 20s. Like you said, on those games, he averaged almost 25 points a game. He averaged the most points per game in the league at the wide receiver position. He's not going anywhere. The volume is there. It's going to continue to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's solid. ADP had him at the wide receiver 1 again, so, it is what it is. Our next is Justin Jefferson, the consensus number 2. Goni and I had him at 2. Begley had him at 1, and he finished as the 1. The ADP had him as the wide receiver 2. Finished with over 1,800 yards and 8 touchdowns on 184 targets. He had 9 games where he was a top 4 receiver and 3 as a number 1. Only 5 games outside the top 24, but he still averaged over 20 points a game, 10 games over 100 yards, 4 games over 150, Offensive Player of the Year. The list goes on. The man is going nuts. He's got Cousins back. Pretty much that offense is back completely. Thielen's another year older, so it might be leaning a little bit even more towards Jetta, but he's just unstoppable. Begley, go ahead and give us a victory lap on why you had Jetta over Cooper Kupp.
Honestly, the play for me was O'Connell. Leaving L.A., going to Minnesota, he was the guy that made Cooper Kupp what he was, really. I mean, and just the way that he schemes to get Jetta matched up against backers and safeties is just creative. So, and, coinciding with the Thielen fall off, it was a dart throw. I hit. But Jetta's unquestionably my number 1 going into next year.
That's definitely fair.
Yeah. Beggs, are you keeping score on this for
Yep.
this? Okay. I just want to make sure before we get too far into it. Yeah. I mean, what else can you say though about Justin Jefferson? He's phenomenal all around. He got you. He won you weeks. He did it frequently. The only chink in this man's armor, I think, for the season was he let you down in the Super Bowl, the fantasy Super Bowl. He put up 2.5 points. And if you remember Mad Mob, that's the game against the Green Bay Packers where Jair Alexander took great exception because Jetta got the best of him in the first game of the season at the tune of 9 receptions, 184 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So Jair Alexander locked him down. Second time around, it happened to be in the fantasy Super Bowl. 1 reception, 15 yards. Aside from that, Jetta was dominant all year, and that's obviously not going to hold you back from drafting him next year.
Yeah, didn't they have one game in the regular season too where they just kind of used him as a decoy, and they got whooped? And
Yeah.
then they were like, "What are we doing?"
Yep.
Yeah, he was furious.
3 receptions.
I think it was
3
Buffalo,
receptions,
wasn't it?
14 yards.
Was it Buffalo?
No, he smashed Buffalo.
No, it wasn't Buffalo. Yeah, his Buffalo was when he made the highlight catches. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our number 3. Our consensus 3 is Jamar Chase. I had him as the 4. Goni and Begley had him as the 3. The ADP was at the 4, and he finished as the WR12. Again, can't really hang our hat on it too much. Missed 5 games, 4 due to injury. 1, as you all know, the DeMar Hamlin game where they just decided not to play it. Missed 5 games total, still finished with over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. He had more targets and receptions than last year, even with those 5 games. 5 times he was a top 5 wide receiver. 2 times he was the number 1. Only 5 games outside of the top 24. Averaged almost 19 points per game, which is good for 6th as the receivers. The thing that I love about him is he never gave you a single-digit output all season. Every game he got you double digits. He's there with Burrow again. T. Higgins one more year left on his deal. How do we not love Jamar Chase next year?
I'm madly in love with him. If he could just play all 16, that'd be great. But I think I've got him above Cup next year. It's going to be Jetta Chase 1-2 for me.
I think Jamar Chase has a chance to push Jetta, possibly, just because he scores touchdowns like that. Jetta, doesn't really score double-digit type touchdowns. At least he hasn't thus far in his career. I can see a massive boost in just the passing offense as a whole. We've already talked about it. We're going to talk about it a whole lot more. We got plenty of time until the season rolls around, but Joe Burrow is going to sling it, man, next year, and Jamar Chase is the number one benefactor of that. So I like him. He can win you 50-50 balls. He can break away on a slant. He can do it all. He's just an absolute phenom stud, and I don't see how he, barring injury, falls outside of the top 5 at all. Wide receiver 1 potential on the season for sure.
Yep. All right. Our consensus number 4 was Devontae Adams. I had him as the 3. Begley had him as the 4. Goni had him as the 5. And he finished as the WR3. ADP had him as the WR3 as well. He finished with over 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns, real solid. Career high, 180 targets. Only had 100 catches, so it honestly could have been a lot better. 7 games, he finished as a top 6 wide receiver, 3 games as the WR1. 8 games outside the top 24, and 8 games with over 100 yards receiving. Going to be in Las Vegas again next year. Don't know who his quarterback is going to be. He's over 30. He's going to be, 31 next year? How do y'all feel about him next year?
I mean, super elite talent. If you're Vegas, how do you not go get a free agent? I just don't see them rolling with a rookie QB. Maybe a Jimmy G here. Let's say he gets a Jimmy G in Las Vegas. He's still a top 12 guy, but he's probably going to be mid to back end for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to hinge on the quarterback for sure. But like Begg said, I think they go out and get someone. I just don't see – you can't waste Devontae Adams. You just can't. You're paying him a whole lot of money. He's the best wide receiver they've had in a very long time. So you can't let his contract and his talent go to waste. He's only got a couple more years. I think he's going to be another locked-in wide receiver 1 next season. He scores. That's the thing. I'm looking at his year-over-year history, and this man has scored double-digit touchdowns 6 of the last 7 years. And that outlier 7th year is he missed 4 games in the season, and he still finished. He finished with 5 touchdowns, but the man can score multiple times in a game. He's great. Honestly, if he would have caught about, 30, 35 more of those balls, he could have possibly pushed the receiving record for the season that Megatron owns. If, we had a little more accuracy out of Derek Carr, Begley's savior. But
interesting fact, he's got more career touchdowns than Mike Evans does. Who would have thought that? I wouldn't have.
Hey, fun facts.
Slided.
He's better than Mike Evans, man. Sorry.
Slided.
Hey, don't worry. He definitely has more touchdowns and yards than Jacoby Myers does.
Slided that he's in the same breath. You shouldn't even put them in the same sentence.
I mean, if you thought he was dogging a receiver from your team, I just dogged a receiver from my team. So, hey, slighted. Got him.
Yeah.
Myself.
Devontae Parker sucks, man.
Yeah, no one wants Devontae Parker.
Yeah, but you got him.
Oh, hooray. Not for long. Not for long, bro.
Our consensus 5. Stephon Diggs. Begley and I had him at the 5. Goni had him at the 4. ADP had him at the 5, and Goni hit it on the head. He was wide receiver 4. had, of course, everybody knows he had the game that got canceled. Still finished with over 1,400 yards and 11 touchdowns. 4 games as a top 6 wide receiver. 6 games outside the top 24, and 6 games with over 100 yards. I think this wide receiver 4 finish is actually really impressive, considering that he kind of, at no fault of his own, kind of slumped fantasy wise towards the end of the year. He honestly could have been third or second or third, honestly.
Yeah, he did really tailor off, and he voiced his displeasure. I think he was a little upset when the year ended. But, I mean, this guy's a perennial top 5 as long as he's tied to Josh Allen, right?
I think so.
I mean, since he's been in Buffalo, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 7, wide receiver 4 this year. He's not going to fall off. He's great. He does it all. He's the safety valve. Gabe Davis didn't do anything this year to steal away any targets. I don't expect that going forward. I don't expect him to bring anyone in the offseason via the draft or free agency that's going to take any targets away from him. The offense is going to keep on humming. And, yeah, as a Stephon Diggs manager, I definitely didn't like seeing during the playoff stretch, end of the season, he kind of failed you. He put up 6 in week 14. Beginning of the fantasy playoffs, week 15, he gave you 10, then 4.6, and then unfortunately the deleted Super Bowl game. But yeah, that's not what you want to see out of your stud wide receiver on your fantasy team.
I don't think they let him slump next year though. There was just some weird situations this year. I know we've already talked about Austin Eckler. We just said when Jetta was kind of a decoy there, when Stephon Diggs had to be like, hey, I'm one of the best receivers in the league. These teams, for some reason, got to be reminded you should probably utilize your best players.
Yeah.
It's weird. All right. Our consensus number 6, CeeDee Lamb. I had him as the 7. Goni and Begley had him as the 6. He finished as the WR5. ADP had him at the 7. Finished with 107 receptions, just under 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns. All career highs for him. 7 games as a top 12 wide receiver, 6 games outside the top 24. Only 3 games. That can't be right. Only 3 games outside of double digits, right?
Yeah. Only 3 games single digits.
Inside.
That was on me. That's on
Okay. He's gonna be trying to get the money. He did pretty good with Cooper Rush. Dak Prescott, inaccurate, but again, CeeDee Lamb's his guy. He's gonna absolutely pepper that man all the way down the field. He's young. I don't see how CeeDee Lamb isn't. It won't be right here again next year, honestly.
Yeah, he's going to replace Adams in the top 5 for me next year. Gets a contract year. He was everything you wanted him to be after Amari Cooper left Dallas, and he drops a lot of passes. I mean, I know of one 60-yard touchdown pass that I still think about when I sleep that he just dropped. He's got brick hands, but he gets it done. Yeah, top 5 player next year.
He's got brick hands, but he gets it done. I don't know how many guys you can say that for in the league.
Yep.
Honestly, man, being a Cowboys fan, I know you're happy to see it. I was happy to see the breakout from CD. Jerry Jones was absolutely ecstatic, I'm sure, to see the breakout from CeeDee Lamb. And, yeah, I just think that it's more the same next year. He got plenty of games where he's getting double-digit targets, and it doesn't go away. I feel like the Cowboys go and get someone because Michael Gallup's not the answer. Noah Brown's not the answer. Jalen Tolbert, remember when he was a thing coming into the season? Like, none of these guys are the answer. And I think they missed Amari Cooper in the playoffs. They were fine during the regular season. They played great football. The defense was outstanding, but they just can't move the ball in the playoffs against the studs.
Man, you're right. I think I'm gonna call my shot, and I think Kellen Moore leaving Dallas is only gonna help the offense. As good as we were, I think it gets a little bit better without him there.
I think a legitimate number 2 really helps CD. I mean, there is absolutely no fear factor on the other side of the field for him. I I kind of obviously I didn't have Michael Gallup as like a WR2 or anything, but I thought preseason he was going to be a real solid flex play most of the year, and it just there was no other receiver that even sniffed the starting lineup other than CD Lamb. I really think he could benefit from a legitimate WR2 on his team, but again, he's like you said. Hey, I mean, he's a pure volume play. I mean, he's gonna get tons of targets, and that's gonna equal tons of fantasy success, regardless.
Yep. Yep.
All right, our consensus number 7, my boy, Mike Evans. I had him as the 6. Begley had him as the 8. Goni had him as the 9. He finished as the 17th receiver. ADP had him at the 10. He missed 2 games, but what's my man do? He gets over 1,000 yards receiving regardless. He had over 1,100 yards receiving with 6 touchdowns, 3 games as a top 12 wide receiver, 10 games outside the top 24. He's getting older. I don't know what we can expect from him next year. Hey, it's crazy. He'll be turning 30 next year. Seems like just yesterday. I remember us drafting. It's crazy how you just see one of these guys that's a lifelong player for your squad just grow old. It gets sad, man. Mike Evans is one of my favorite Bucks of all time. We don't have a quarterback next year. He's getting older. I don't know what to expect this year. He did finish as the wide receiver 17. Honestly, he could have very easily been, again, injuries, but he did have a huge game at the end that buoyed up his rank a little bit. It is what it is. I think the Buccaneers offense surprised everybody this year with how bad they were, based on honestly where all three of us had them and where the ADP had them. I don't think anybody expected the Bucs offense to be as bad as it was this year.
No, I mean his talent is scoring touchdowns, and the Bucks didn't score a lot of them. So naturally, Mike Evans is gonna, his stock's gonna drop a little bit. It was really Brady, man. I think Evans was okay. Brady was horrendous. I don't think any of us predicted that, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just don't see it. The touchdowns, you're right, are a major part of his game. It was his lowest touchdown output since 2017 when he finished also as the wide receiver 17. But I'm looking at his game logs, and he was okay. There's not really a lot of games that you had him this year. Like, he had a couple 18-point games, and those you're like, all right, that's good. That's a good fantasy week. But he didn't really have any where you're like, man, this is phenomenal. I'm so glad I have him on my team. There was only 2 times. It was week 4 against KC where he dropped 30, and if you stuck with he and the turd Buccaneers and Tom Brady in the fantasy Super Bowl, he absolutely delivered you a championship with 48 fantasy points. So you got a pair of stones on you if you stuck with him for the Super Bowl for sure. Going forward, though, this man doesn't touch the top 12 next year, does he?
Listen, it's his last year on his contract. He's set to make $13 million. Do they cut him? Wayne, or is he a lifelong Buck?
Lifelong Buck. He's a great locker room guy too. Good teammate. I think he'll restructure if he has to.
So that feeds right into the fact that no, he will not be a wide receiver 1 next year.
No,
I don't think he will either. It's hard to.
Okay.
It's hard to say that.
I didn't know if you guys had like some kind of crazy way that it could happen. It's just Kyle Trask is going to be throwing him the football, or at best Derek Carr.
No,
yeah,
no,
it's not happening.
no shot. Unfortunately, breaks my heart, but no shot. All right, let's talk about another injury victim here. Our consensus number 8 was Keenan Allen. I had him at the 9. Begley had him at the 7. Goni had him at the 12. ADP was wide receiver 11, and he finished as a wide receiver 42. Missed 7 games. Finished with 752 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 games inside the top 12, 4 games outside the top 24. He did average over 16 points per game in the games he played, which is good for 12, which is, right where Goni had him. So if he would have stuck with that average for the rest of the year, he would have been a WR1 like we had him. Going to be 31 next season. Some of our perennial WR1s are aging out. Honestly, the Chargers might not be able to afford to pay him next year. Might not be a Charger next year. In which case, if he's not a Charger next year, mixed with the injuries, mixed with his age, back in wide receiver 2 for me. Or am I way too early? No research rankings.
I don't think he's gonna be with the Chargers next year. So I'm fading Keenan Allen probably, unless he goes somewhere spicy.
What if he goes to the Bears?
Hard fade.
Hard fade. Ultra hard fade?
Ultra hard fade.
Okay.
One of them adamantium fades.
Yeah, ultra.
Adamantium fade. Vibranium fade. Yeah, Keenan Allen, volume's the name of the game. If he goes anywhere next year, it's not going to look good for him. He's going from a team that passes the 3rd most in the entire league. Chances are you're going somewhere where they pass less. Just, the math says so. He was good, though. I mean, he was good for the games that he did play. He's just getting older. Justin Herbert wasn't that good this year. But Keenan Allen kind of was for the games that he did play in the back half of the season. And it's really, you got to chalk it up to the fact that he was getting 14, 9, 14, 6, 11 targets per game and everything through there. So he's never been a big play guy. It's always been, I'm going to catch 100+ footballs a year and just PPR to death. I'm going to score my touchdowns on a pass-first offense. I don't like him next year. He will absolutely be, I don't even know, maybe wide receiver 2 conversation. Like you said, back end wide receiver 2 at best, I think.
I think you saw his missing time reflected in Justin Herbert's year. I know he had the rib injury, but it's his first year without Keenan Allen, man. That's a lot of targets that vacates the offense when he stayed hurt all year.
Yeah. Missed a lot of touchdown passes. He had the yardage, he just didn't have the touchdown passes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, our consensus number 9. I had him at the 12. Begley had him at the 10. Goni had him at the 8. He finished as the 2. Talking about Tyreek Hill. ADP had him as the WR6. We all kind of faded him a little bit for obvious reasons. Going to the Dolphins, Jalen Waddle, Sharon, yada, yada. My man finished with 119 receptions, over 1,700 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He had 7 games as a top 4 wide receiver and only 4 games outside the top 24. Only 2 single-digit games all season. My man went nuts. Don't know what the Tua situation holds for him in the future, but it's hard to fade that man because he can go anywhere and be successful. He's a beast. He's going to be 29 next year, which for wide receivers is, you're up over the hill and you're still close to the top, but you're heading down. I think he's, based on what I saw last year, though, he shut me up, and I got to have him top 10 next year.
Yeah, he's a lock for top 10. It's another one, right? It's going to be hard to keep him out of my top 5. To me, he's going to be like Deshaun Jackson, man, a guy who's going to be able to play in the league for many moons because he can just run by everybody. But yeah, he's a top 5 guy. But like you said, Wayne, it's all dependent on Tua and his health. If it's Skylar Thompson in Miami, I don't think he can support one top 5 guy. Maybe not a top 10 guy.
I think he can. I think he can. Speed kills. I mean, didn't Skylar Thompson get in for a few games this season?
Yeah,
at some point. Just
year. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Tyreek has just been so consistent as well this past season. He's almost every single game is a double digit game. There's plenty of 20s sprinkled in there, a couple 30s as well. And you didn't really know who was going to be the alpha when he came in between Jalen Waddle and Tyreek and how that was going to work out with Tua and his development and everything. But Tyreek came in and just took over. It's his team. He gets the lion's share of all the targets. He gets fed repeatedly. And I think even if Skylar Thompson was to throw the football next year, I like Tyreek Hill, man. I'd be more down on Jalen Waddle next year than I would be Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek had his 2 of his 3 lowest point totals were with Skylar this year.
Were they the single-digit jammies?
It was a 13 and 4.
Okay, that's fair.
But I can you see Miami rolling into the year with Skylar as their QB1? I don't see any way that happens.
Not a chance.
Yeah, they'll have Tua head bobbing his way out there before they trot Skylar out there. All right, our consensus 10, we had Deebo Samuel. ADP had him as the WR8. I had him as the 8. Begley had him as the 9. Goni had him as the 13, and he finished as the 40. Stop fist pumping, dude. You got one that you're absolutely going to lose it all on.
I don't know. I just hit like the last 3 over you guys. I feel pretty good about it.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to the one that puts you
down. I know. I see it. I'm looking at what you're looking at. That's fine. I'm just accruing points over here.
Yeah. Honestly, who knows where we're at right now? Deebo Samuel finished as the WR40, missed 4 games, finished with over 600 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 1 game inside the top 12, and 9 games outside the top 24. Major hit to his rushing work this year. That's what changed it. He didn't find pay dirt nearly as much as he typically did. There was a lot of trade rumors going around. A lot of uncertainty with his contract. Is he going to be a 49er? All that. He came out and said he didn't want to be utilized that same way. You know, they went out, got CMC. Just a lot of things. Quarterback turmoil in San Francisco just caused a lot of issues that really affected the way he finished. I think he's got the talent to be a big player, you know, but we'll see.
Deebo's a dog, man. I love him. I love his game. But you said it, Wayne. CMC destroyed his year. As long as CMC's there, I'm not touching Deebo.
I don't even know if that's necessarily true, man. This was something Beggs and I argued about all offseason was Deebo Samuel, man. There was no way in my mind that Deebo Samuel was going to repeat after the year he had before, even taking out all the rushing yards. This man had 18 yards per catch, 77 receptions, 1,400 yards. It's just unsustainable for a guy like that in this kind of offense that doesn't really throw the ball all that much. So that being said, I went ahead and drafted him in a dynasty startup this year just because he fell to me. And let me tell you, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun at all. If you had Deebo Samuel, you were happy twice that you played him. For where you drafted him, like I know he put up double-digit points and everything, but they're low double digits. You don't want a wide receiver 1 technically for your team putting up 11s, 12s, 13s. Like that doesn't do anything for you. So I mean, it was a bad ride this year, and I'm not going to down on him too much because this is where I poo-poo all over his name, and he blows up next year, and he's like a top 8 guy or something like that. So we'll see when it gets there. It wasn't a fun ride. I wouldn't be drafting him again next season.
Just because you called me out, I had to go look at the stats. He exponentially fell off after week 6, which is when McCaffrey got to San Francisco. He was averaging about 15 fantasy points a game through the first 6 weeks.
I have the game logs. I'm looking at the game logs, and he only got over 15 twice, and one of them was a 16-point game.
You're welcome to do the math. I just did it.
That's fine. I mean, I believe you. I see it. It's whatever. But they're all low, man. They're all, I wouldn't say exponentially.
It's not what you want from the 8, but Debo before CMC got there, he had a path to be a wide receiver 1. Looking at the numbers, there's a path there. Yeah, he had the touchdown regression, no doubt about it. But there's a path there to wide receiver 1 usage. Just looking at his targets and his carries.
Wait. You said how much? About 15 yards? Or I'm sorry, 15 points? About 15 points per game, you said?
Yeah, through the first 6 weeks.
Okay. So, I mean, even if you took that and extrapolated throughout the entire season, we just did Keenan Allen, who I think was like 16 point something, and he would have finished at the 12. Ergo, he would have not finished as a wide receiver 1.
So
Dang, man. And then it extrapolated, then ergoed all over your forehead, bro.
Man, why? Wayne's doing this, man. I'm not. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, Gone, can I just go ahead and mush your face really quick with stats?
Go
If
ahead.
you want to
man.
extrapolate it, if you give him 15 a game across 17 games, that's 255 fantasy points, which puts him squarely at wide receiver 9, my friend. Squarely.
That's fine. He
He had a path
missed games.
to wide receiver 1 territory.
He missed games, but so did a lot of the other guys. Jamar Chase as well was in there, who we just did. Cooper Kupp, who was just in there. We just did Keenan Allen. Those 3 right there push him right back out.
Still a wide receiver 1. Throw those 3 in. He's still a wide receiver 1. It's math.
It's math.
Yeah, he'd be number 12. Add him in there.
Okay, let me hang on. I will absolutely tell you right now if you are correct or not.
I am
correct. And extrapolated. Let me see.
Extrapolate over there, man.
Get
your extrapolation on.
Man. Hang on, I'm still scrolling. I was hoping this was going to be quick, but yeah, no. It looks like his average points per game though was 13, which is good for 28th.
Well, didn't we say before CMC got there, which is what my argument was?
Okay. I'm sorry. Let me do 15. 15 at best ties him in a 3-way tie with Devonta Smith and Mike Evans at 14. So still not quite there.
You didn't do any extrapolation whatsoever, like you said you were going to do.
I took the 15, Holmes. I took the 15, and I looked at everyone's average through the entire season for the wide receiver position, and
Okay.
you're falling short, man. Deebo wasn't that good.
What's 15 times 17 go?
Bro, he just wasn't that good.
If you're going to use the word extrapolate, let's use it right. What's 15 times 17? It's 2.
I don't know, man. I don't have the calculator.
That's good for wide receiver 9, which is how we're grading our rankings. We're not grading them on points per game. It's total fantasy points. If you extrapolate out what he was doing before CMC got there, he was on pace to be wide receiver 9. The CMC trade killed his stock, and it will continue to do that in the future. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Well,
And the point I'm trying to make is
Deebo missed 4 games, so we should only multiply it by 13.
Well, we shouldn't be. I mean, this is also the extrapolation because CMC actually went to the Niners. That's the point I'm trying to make, right? CMC killed his stock. It didn't injure him any more or less, but I'm not going to consider injuries in trying to grade out these players. Injuries can happen to anybody at any time, right? Cooper Kupp is a top 3 wide receiver, whether he's injured this year or not. I'm not upset.
In your extrapolation, though, did you have an average? Was there a number that was the average, would you say?
15.
Being 15? 15. Okay, yeah. So extrapolating the entire league, injuries or not, he didn't cut it, man.
I don't think
he wasn't.
You're using the word extrapolate right here.
He wasn't that good. He wasn't that good.
Okay.
He wasn't a wide receiver 1 good. If you drafted him,
you had a bad year.
That's all I'm saying, bro.
But a lot of that was due to the CMC.
Man, Who'd have thought that Debo Samuel was going to be the one to hang up the episode? Not me.
That's because Beggs and I, dude, it could be anywhere. It could be absolutely anywhere. We get stuck on like one grouping of players or just one single player, and when we find it, we don't let it go. Like it doesn't matter. We can see each other in the streets and it's on.
I let that. I've let this go long enough. We're moving on. Our consensus number 11 is Mike Williams.
Here's my death.
I had him at the 14. Begley had him at the 11. You had him at the 7, Goni. He finished as a WR 32. ADP had him as the 28. He missed 4 games. Finished with 900 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 games inside the top 12, 7 outside the top 24. I don't know. I felt pretty good where I had him. If he played, those 4 games, I feel like he was definitely going to be a decent WR2. Again, this is just a victim of injuries and Herbert playing not so good this year. He's only going to be 28. And they got a new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, your boy Begley, and he honestly could be their legitimate WR1 next year if Keenan Allen gets cut to save some cap space. This year, I stand by my 14. I think that was pretty accurate. When he played, he was solid for the most part. Injuries brought him down again, obviously. I'm comfortably putting him around the same spot next year.
He's a hard guy to project. I own Mike Williams, and he's just so boom or bust. Without Keenan there, which you saw this year, his targets per game went up a little more than his career average. I'm not in love with him, man. I don't know if he's a. I'm with you, Wayne. He's a wide receiver too for me, solidly.
Yeah, same thing. I planted the flag big time on Mike Williams this year after his breakout last year. But there was time. I mean, with the volume going up, there was times that he doesn't look like he can cut it as a wide receiver 1. Just plain and simple. He doesn't look like he can be the guy. He's not really that possession wide receiver that Keenan Allen is, that, is just tried and true. He's still a go up and get it, a big play guy, a 50-50 ball kind of guy. But it's just, he was scary, man. After we got rolling into the season, every time out, it was a roller coaster ride. But I will say I did enjoy whenever he was the wide receiver 1. Josh Palmer gained some value, and I think he will be the wide receiver 2 next year. So little plug for Josh Palmer on that.
Yep, I like it. Our last guy, Michael Pittman. He was our consensus 12. I had him at the 10. Begley had him at the 12. Goni had him at the 11. He finished as the WR20. ADP had him as the 21. Missed a game. Finished with a little over 900 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 games inside the top 12, 10 outside the top 24. Man, I was high on him. We all kind of were. We were all within 2 spots of each other because we thought Matt Ryan was going to buoy this man. We thought that offense was going to click. We thought Jonathan Taylor was going to be good. We thought Michael Pittman was going to benefit. Matt Ryan was going to turn that thing on its head, and just the Colts were going to be just way better in general, and they just weren't. I mean, Matt Ryan got benched. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. He's going to have a new quarterback next year, probably a new coach, and it's a contract year for him. So I don't know. My logic in ranking him that high, I stand by it. Obviously, I missed, but that's what happens, when you're just taking stabs at guys before the season starts.
He's a guy I'm high on. I'm going to stay high on this year. He's a buy low guy for me. I'm going to try to get him in every dynasty league I can this offseason before the rookie draft. I like Pittman. He's athletic. He is my Jerry Jeudy this year, I think.
So do you think he has wide receiver 1 potential this next season?
He's got the upside, I think, but it's dependent on the quarterback. We'll see how it plays out.
You do win?
Yeah, I think It's definitely quarterback dependent, but I think he's athletic enough to make it happen.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I was high on him as well, obviously, giving him a wide receiver 11 in my own personal rankings coming into the year. We saw the sophomore breakout. He broke 1,000 yards. We thought, Matt Ryan was going to be the savior that's going to take this team over the top. They were supposed to have a good offensive line. Things didn't really work out. But I mean, you saw his yards per catch drop down to under 10, down to 9.3. I just don't think he's a super athletic guy. I think he's a possession guy at best. He's going to need just a methodical rolling offense that's going to move the chains and PPR you to death. He just doesn't seem like a big play guy to me. I think he's got, mid-range wide receiver 2 at best, which is not bad. It's not bad at all. Buy him on the down year for sure.
Can I argue for Pittman?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a similar argument to Judy. It's going to be a similar argument to Olave and Garrett Wilson. I like guys that produce with bad quarterback play. He's done it since he's been in Indy. Never had a good quarterback. Never. And he's produced. To me, those are guys that I try to find and target personally.
That's fair. It's absolutely fair.
Logic
I don't have a
works.
counter argument. Yeah.
No, logic works. Let's add it up. Goni, can you keep track for me? Actually, Beggs, you go ahead and let us know who the WR1 king is. I know It ain't me.
Well, this is just the halftime. This is the score at halftime.
Yeah, the halftime score.
Yeah.
Number 1, Goni.
Let's go.
With a 3-point lead.
Ooh.
He essentially won it off Tyreek Hill. He forecasted Tyreek Hill ahead of me and you, Wayne. Second is me, 3 behind Goni, and third is Wayne. It was 3 behind me, 6 behind Goni. Obviously, our biggest downfalls were Deebo and Keenan Allen, and Wayne, you lost a couple extra on Mike Evans. That's who took you over the top.
Yep. We're all in striking distance, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've got a Hollywood death blow that's coming to me, and Goni's got Gabe Davis.
I have a DJ Moore death blow myself, a Deontay Johnson death blow. It's all good.
Yeah, there's going to be plenty.
There's going to be death blows.
We're all going to be dead due to blows.
No one will survive the next episode. Oh man! All right, so
Goni, keep track for me here.
Yeah, here we go.
It's honesty hour for us, where we let you know if the ADP was better than us or we were better than the ADP. Goni, at the 1, we finished even with the ADP.
Okay.
At the 2, we finished even with the ADP. As the 3, ADP was better than us. At the 4, ADP was better. At the 5, we were even with the ADP. At the 6, we were better than the ADP. At the 7, ADP beat us. At the 8, ADP beat us.
Taking some lumps.
At the 9, ADP beat us. At the 10, we beat the ADP.
Hey.
At the 11,
ADP beat us.
And the 12, ADP beat us. WR1s were not looking good. That being said, let me see how many we would have got if we didn't have injuries.
Well, while you look that up, I don't know how long it's going to take you, but I just want to say, right, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, right? These are guys we lost on, but we planted some flags there. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it as
Cooper
well.
Kupp we were even, so I'm not even counting that. Justin Jefferson we were even. Jamar Chase,
we lost.
We had
Jamar
him as the
Chase.
3. The ADP had him as the 4. So
that's
it's
a
not like it
loss,
was
but it's
bad.
close.
Like it's not like it was egregious. The 4 we had Devontae Adams, and he finished as the 3. His ADP was 3, so we missed that by 1. Not a big deal. The 5 was Stephon Diggs, and we finished even with the ADP. Finished as a WR4. 6 we hit. ADP was 7. He finished as the 5. Not a big deal. 7 was Mike Evans. I'm okay with missing that. Again, it was 3 off. We had him at 7. ADP had him at 10. He finished at 17. That is what it is. I mean, that offense just was underwhelming for everybody. The 8 was Keenan Allen. ADP had him at the 11, finished as a WR42. He missed 7 games. He missed 7 games, and he was averaging almost 17 points per game. So we were close to hitting that one on the head. Tyreek Hill. Yeah, we faded him for Tua, but still, we weren't bad off. We were only 2 off of the ADP, so, again, not egregious. Deebo, we won. We probably would have won anyways. He missed 4 games, but even if he didn't, we would have won that one. Mike Williams, again, missed 4 games. The ADP probably would have been closer still, but, as Begley said, we planted our flag on him. Michael Pittman, same thing, missed 1 game. He probably would have finished as, an 18. It would have put us pretty close to him. Again, our ADP had him as a WR2. We had him as a WR2, or the number 12. So it is
top
what it is
6, top 7. We're on the money for,
and
then the back
the ones
half
we
of
missed.
great.
The ones we missed, we were
Injuries.
We were really close.
In the interest of just critiquing ourselves, the ADP predicted the age fall off for Keenan, or maybe that was some injury scare in his ADP, and it predicted the fall off of Tom Brady a little more than we did in regards to Mike Evans. That's 2 big ones that stand out to me. And then the ADP loved Tyreek, and we were a little nervous, but I feel like we were in line with the market on Tyreek. Saw a lot of people nervous.
Yeah, no, our consensus was 2 off of the ADP. So the ADP and us faded Tyreek further back than what he finished.
Yeah.
Again, we took some lumps on some of them, but some of the ones, I think 3 or 4 that the ADP beat us on, we were within 3 of the ADP. So it's not like it was egregious. And again, the ones we missed the worst were Mike Williams and Keenan Allen that, were injury related. I feel like we were definitely going to win Keenan Allen if he didn't get hurt, and Mike Williams would have at least been, close if he played those 4 games.
Maybe, because 2 would have been booms probably, and 2 would have been busts, and you never know what the booms do for you.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been close. It would have been closer. It is what it is. We'll see. We'll see what WR2s have. Well, I feel like wide receivers are so hard. I mean, we beat the ADP in running backs. We beat the ADP in quarterbacks. Wide receivers are just so hard. I always struggle every year making my wide receiver rankings because there's so many. And part of me kind of overthinks it because I just take all this stuff into consideration when I should just stick with my gut. But you don't listen to this podcast to hear my gut calls. You hear it to listen to all of our in-depth analytical research. I mean, that's how we come up with those. So, it is what it is, boys. How you feel about it?
I think the top 7's going to be pretty cut and dry most years with wide receivers. Our top 6 was pretty chalk. I think it gets gray, right? That 7 to 12 range.
That's where the newcomers enter.
Yeah, exactly.
The top 6 are generally your studs.
Yeah.
Just your elite guys for the league. And then, 7 through 12 is kind of where some of the newer guys come into the picture for the season. So,
yeah. And you're seeing a lot more rookie wide receivers be more impactful as they come into the league. I really faded rookies when I was doing this rankings. I'm going to have to reevaluate my rookies. I mean, they're coming into the league and making a splash immediately.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
It was a good time. Either way, I had fun with it. We'll do it again next year.
Yes, we will. And we will bring the same heat, and we will plant all the flags deeply into the sand. We are really grinding the social medias for the Q&As. So go ahead and join our Facebook, Mad Fantasy Football. Again, we're going to try and do 1 or 2 Q&As a week. That is the best way to reach us, is our Facebook page. So if you could just give that page a like, leave your questions. As the season starts, we might do some live video questions and just see from that. So yeah, please just join our Facebook page, Mad Fantasy Football. We appreciate y'all. Extrapolations for ND